Good morning, students. Today, the topic which we are going to discuss is personality assessments. Now, the learning objectives of today's topic are personality means you will able to understand the concept of personality. Personality assessment, you will able to know the meaning of personality assessment. Personality inventory, what do you mean by personality inventory? What are the different types of personality inventory? Projective instruments, what are the projective instruments and what are the different projective instruments for assessing the personality? Now, personality assessment. What is personality? Personality includes all the special qualities people have that make them different from each other. Means it's include the special qualities or the specific qualities that are present in the people, and these qualities make that people differ from each other. These include charm, energy, disposition, attitude, temperament, cleverness, and all feelings and behavior they exhibit. Now, personality is the reasonably stable pattern of thoughts, means there is a reasonable stable pattern of thoughts, emotions, and behavior that distinguish one person from another. Means these stable pattern of thoughts, emotions, and behavior. On the basis of this, we can make a distinguish or difference between two individuals. Now, what does personality assessment achieve? Personality assessment. Personality assessment assess counselors in means personality assessment help the counselors in understanding the behavior of a particular individual. Means we will able to understand the behavior of a particular specific individual if he the counselor will assess the personality of a particular individual. Help counselor come to a conclusion about a possible future course of action, and with the help of the personality assessment, the counselor can come to a conclusion about a possible future course of action for a particular individual. Help counselor make prediction about a person's unique future behavior. Means with the help of personality assessment, a counselor can make prediction about how a person will behave in a unique way in the future. Trait states and types. There are three fundamental terms related to personality, and these are traits, states, and types. Traits. Personality traits can be viewed as the distinguished characteristic or quality possessed by the individual. Means by the personality traits, we mean those special, unique characteristics or qualities that are possessed by a particular individual. Traits are dimensions of individual differences in tendencies to show consistent patterns of thought, feeling, and action. Now, traits are the dimensions of individual differences, means the presence of individual differences among individuals in tendencies to show consistent pattern of thoughts, and these individual differences shows consistent pattern of thoughts, how a person will think, feeling, what are his particular feelings, and what will be his plan of action, and how he will do some action in a particular condition or situations. States. Personality states refer to a temporary behavior tendency. Now, the personality states refers to a temporary, means it's not a permanent behavioral tendency that that particular will behave in that particular manner. No, it's a temporary behavioral tendency of a particular individual. Example, a student may be described as being in an anxious state before final, and this is a temporarily a behavioral tendency. That individual will not be always in the anxious states. That person or will be anxious state only when he will have their final exams. whereas trait refers to an enduring personality characteristics, whereas the traits are the enduring personality characteristics that are possessed by an individual. States usually refer to a temporary behavior tendency, or whereas the states refers to a temporary behavioral tendency among the individuals. Now, personality type. Personality types are regarded as a general description of a person. Means with that personality type, we will able to define that these are the general descriptions of a person having that particular personality. Example: extroverted and introverted. The extroverted person will like to go out, more sociable. Introvert person in comparison to extrovert don't like to be go out, have few friends only. Now, personality inventories. Now, inventories are commonly used to identify the structure and features of one personality. In inventories, there are statements or some questions related to a particular personality, the individual whose personality we are going to assess. That individual will read the statement and questions, and according to his personal characteristics or experiences, he will rate those statements or questions. So, inventories are commonly used to identify the structures and features of one personality, and with the help of those statements, how that in particular individual has related with those particular statements, we will able to identify the structures and features of one personality of one's characteristic way of thinking, feeling, and behaving, and one's characteristic way, how he think, how he feel, and how he behave. And with the help of the personality inventory, we will able to know all these things about a particular individual, about one's personality. Now, the examples: a career counsel administers an inventory in order to help a person choose a career. Means a career counselor administers a personality inventory on the students, and on the basis of their answers, on the basis of their opinion, that counselor is able to help a person to choose a particular career, that in that field you have to select or choose your career. A psychologist wants to look at symptoms to possibly diagnose a disorder. Now, a psychologist, with the help of administrating a personality inventory on the students or on the individuals, able to know, able to identify and the symptoms to diagnose a particular disorder, or if he wants to look at the symptoms to possibly diagnose a disorder, he can administer a personality inventory on the individuals. A school counselor implements inventories to see if a student is suffering from academic problem. Now, a school counselor can implement personality inventories to see if a particular student or students are facing some academic problems or not. Examples continue. An employment counselor uses inventories to see if an individual meet the right requirement and performances. And an employment counselor, a counselor who is there to give the students the employability help, uses inventories to see if an individual meet the right requirements or performances or not. A neurophysiologist administers an inventory to determine the extent of a possible brain injury, and a neuropsychologist will administer an inventory, and on the basis of that, he will able to determine the extent of a possible brain injury in a particular or a specific person. Now, approaches to personality inventory development. Personality inventories may differ in the approach by which they are constructed. Means they differ in the approach by which they are constructed. Means what is the purpose of constructing that particular inventory. For four common approaches to personality inventory development are rational, theory based, criterion group, and factor analysis. Now, rational approach. Rational approach is one of the oldest method of personality test construction. Means this is the oldest method of personality test construction. Here, we use the use of reason and deductive logic to construct test item. Means for the construction of the test, personality test on the basis of the rational approach, the constructor has to use reasons and deductive logic to develop test items. Example, Wordsworth personal data sheet from 1920, which contained 116 items, self-reported responses to need for psychiatrist screening during the US entry into World War First. Now, theory-based approach. This approach is founded on an established theory of personality. Means if one wants to construct a personality inventory and he if he is using the theory based approach, then this approach is founded on an established theory of personality. Unlike rational approach, the psychodynamic theory of personality is followed and the unconscious inner conflicts play a significant role. The theory on which this test was developed or constructed was the psychodynamic theory of personality. As and this theory of personality is followed and the unconscious and the inner conflicts play a significant role. Clients are believed to eventually project or express unconscious fear, conflicts, or inner needs. And when that test was administered, that personality inventory test was administered on the clients, then it is believed that eventually the clients will project or express their unconscious fears, conflicts, or inner needs, which they will actually not project to someone. Now, the criterion group approach. CGA, the criterion group approach, is an empirical method of personality test constructions that involves selecting items in that when we are to construct a test we will select some items that can discriminate between relevant criterion group and control group, and these selected items helps to discriminate between the relevant criterion group and the control group. Control group are usually studied alongside criterion group to identify items that distinguish the group from one another. Now, the factor analysis, another empirical approach that uses statistical procedures to analyze interrelationships among a large number of variables. When we have to analyze interrelationships among a large number of variables, and for that we are using a statistical procedure that is called an factor analysis. Example, personality traits. Now, categories of personality inventories. What are the different categories of personality inventories? The first one is structured personality inventories. Standardized, usually self report instruments use selected response items, true, false, multiple choice, or rating scales. That means structured personality inventory is a standardized, means it have reliability, validity, some norms are there, and on that basis, that test will be administered. Use selected response items, and the response items are constructed on true and false. The subject has to respond to the statements, whether in the true form or in the false form. Multiple choice or rating scales, they have to rate a particular statement on the basis of their experiences and traits. No right or wrong answer, that is, true may indicate a trait, outgoing means there is no uh, right, no right, this is right or this is wrong, no this type of answers are not there. You have to indicate whether a trait has been present in you or not. Broad scope inventories are very comprehensive, means it's in a detail. 1 to 2 hours will be there. For example, the MMPI-II. Narrow scope inventories focus on a targeted aspects of personality, and the narrow scope inventory that has been developed or constructed focus on a targeted aspect of the personality. That is VDI2. Now, structured inventory, the Manisto Multispecific Personality Inventory MMPI2. 567 true false questions means there are 567 statements in that inventory, and these 567 statements are choices of whether that statement is true according to you or it's false according to you. 18 years and older, and this test can be administered on the individuals who are more than 18 years. Take 60 to 90 minutes to complete, and the time taken by a particular subject to complete that test is from 60 to 90 minutes. Has 10 clinical scales that assess dimensions of personality and psychopathology. And that test means 567 statements are divided into 10 clinical states, and that 10 clinical scales assess dimensions of personality and psychopathology. Page number 254 has 9 validity scales to detect responses style, that is unanswered questions, page 253. Available in English, Hmong, French and Spanish, means these the test has been prepared in English, Hmong, French and Spanish. MMPI2 example questions means some questions are there that has been in the test. First one, I like mechanics magazines. Means now you have to tell whether you really like that or not. You have to give your answer in true or false. I have a good appetite. Again, you have to give judge the statement on the basis of that true or false. I wake up fresh and rested most morning. I think I would like the work of a librarian. I am easily awakened by noise. I like to read newspaper articles on crime. My hands and feet are usually warm enough. My daily life is full of things that keep me interested. I am about as able to work as I ever was. There seems to be a lump in my throat much of the time. A person should try to understand his dreams and be guided by a way. Take warning from them. I enjoy detective or mysterious stories. I work under a great deal of tension. I have diarrhea once a month or more. Once in a while, I think of things too bad to talk about. I'm sure I get a raw deal from life. My father was a good man. I am very seldom troubled by constipation. When I take a new, I like to be tipped off on whom should be gotten next to. And the last one is my sex life is satisfactory. Means these are the example questions from the MMPI2. Now, a subject has to answer these questions whether these statements are true according to their personality traits or it's false. Now, structure inventory, Million clinical multi-axil inventory MCMI-III 175 item self-report means this test contain 175 test items 18 years and older, and the age for which this test was developed was 18 years and older. Approx 30 minutes to complete means to complete that test, one needed approximately 30 minutes. Designed to assist with clinical and personality disorders, and this test was designed to assist with clinical and personality disorders in a particular individual. Axis second and DSM-4TR consist of 28 scales, and these uh, test was consist of 28 scales. Sample of MCMI third name sample in interpretative report ID number you have to write there, age, gender, setting outpatient never hospitalized, race white, marital status never married, date assist 4/3/2009. Now, sample of MCMI third possible diagnosis. She appears to fit the following access to classification best: antisocial personality disorder with historic personality features and paranoid personality features. Axis 1 clinical syndromes are suggested by the client's MCM-III profile in the areas of alcohol abuse and psychoactive substance abuse NOS. Now, the third one is structured inventory, the California Psychological Inventory CPI. 434 true false statements means that inventory consists of 434 statements, and the subject has to give their opinion on these statements on the basis of whether they consider that statement as true or false. Age 12 to 70 years means from 12 years to 70 age, that test can be applied. Takes about 50 to 60 minutes to complete that test, as an individual needs almost 50 to 60 minutes. Designed for normal people, and this test was designed for normal people. Focus on behavior patterns. That test is focusing on behavior pattern, feelings, and opinions and attitudes relating to social, ethical, and family matters. Structure inventory, the by Myers Briggs type indicator MBTI. Another non pathological inventory designed based on Carl Jung topological theory, extroversion, introversion, sensing, intuitive, thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving. They are often referred to by an abbreviation of four letters indicating the four type preferences: ESTJ, INFP. ESTJ stands for extroversion, sensing, thinking, and judging. INFP indicates introversion, intuition, feeling, and perceiving. Now, projective instruments require the client to answer questions using picture phrases or ink bonds. Means in that projective instruments, if one is using to assess the personality of an individual using the projective instruments, and in this the client has to answer questions using pictures, phrases, or ink blots. associated with the psychodynamic theory of personality, and these projective instruments are based on the psychodynamic theory of personality. The unconscious mind, that is hidden emotions, internal conflicts. Two well-known instruments are the Rorschach and the thematic appreciation test. Means the projective instruments that are most commonly used are the Rorschach ink blot test and the thematic appreciation test, that is TAT. Now, projective instruments, the Rorschach ink blot test, major client's view of his her world, means that Rorschach ink blot test was used to measure the client's view of his or her world, how he is viewing his or her world. Clients are asked to look at ink blots and to describe what they see. Now, what will happen? The subjects was shown ink blots, and what happened after seeing this ink blots? They have to describe what they are seeing in that particular ink blot. One by one, ink blots are presented before him, and he has to describe what he is seeing in that particular ink blot. The test has 10 bilateral symmetrical ink blots printed on separate cards, and means uh, separate cards, each ink blot will be printed, and each uh, printed card will be presented in front of the subject, and on when the particular ink blot was presented to the subject, he has to describe what he is seeing in that particular ink blot. Require examiners to be thoroughly trained. If a person is using this Rorschach ink blot projective instruments for assessing the personality of an individual, he must have the thorough knowledge of how to administer that test, how to make scoring through that projective instruments. Means he should have the full training, a thorough training of using the Rorschach ink blot test. Now, this is an example of a Rorschach ink blot card. That card was presented, and now an individual has to see what type of picture comes in mind, what is the thought process when he is seeing that particular image or the picture. Rorschach ink blot card common responses: bat. 53% says that this is an image of a bat, and 53% who are saying that it's a bat, means it's a common response given. If that test is administered on 100 people, then almost 53% responses is that this is a bat. 39% says that it is a butterfly, and this is a common response which was given after seeing that particular ink blot. Now, Rosha ink blot card, this again a second ink blot card. When that card got administered, then this was the common responses which we got. The first common responses, people say that it is an image of a dog, some say it's an image of an elephant, and some say it's an image of a bear. Rorschach ink blot card common responses: animal skin drug. These are the common responses which we get when we administer that ink blot card. Hats of women or children. Some says that these pictures depict the hats of women or children. Human hat. It's a human hat. Now, the projective test, thematic appreciation test (TAT), contain 31 black and white pictures, and that test contain 31 pictures, and these pictures are black and white pictures. The usual number of cards shown to the client is between 10 to 14. Means around 10 to 14 cards are shown to a particular client or subject, and on the basis of the card, he will describe what is that picture and how he is related to that particular picture. Administration of the test usually take an hour, means to administer TAT, thematic appreciation test, it's usually take an hour to administer that particular test. Client is asked to make a story about each picture. As one card is presented to a client, then that client has to prepare a story after seeing that particular card. Examiners ask clients several questions in order to better understand his or her story. Now, as the card is presented, the subject has to tell a story after seeing that picture. And when he is saying a particular story, the examiner will ask the subject or the client several questions related to the story that he is saying in order to better understand his or her story. Who is the main hero of your story? And these are the particular questions that were asked by the examiner to better understand the story of that particular client. Image similar to the one used in TED. Image similar to those used in TED. Image similar to those used in TED. Now, these are the images which will be used by the examiner, and the client has to develop a story after seeing these particular images or the pictures. Now, projective instruments, verbal projective technique require verbal or written responses. Now, in this, they have to give their response in writing. Therefore, clients must have good verbal and written skills. And these tests are used for those clients who have good verbal and written skills. Examples of questions: if you had three wishes, what you would you wish for? Now, here the client has to give a written response that what will be their three wishes, and second one is if you could be anything you wanted to be, what would you be? Now, here again, he has to give his response that if if he was allowed or given a chance, that who would you be like? Now, projective instrument sentence completion means there will be a sentence that the client has to complete. Now, sentence completion, examples of sentence completion: I wish. Now, here the client has to give his wishes. I love dash. Now, they have to fill the blank with the first thought that came to their mind. The third one is a husband should. My nerves are made of dash. I hate dash. Now, projective instruments, projective drawings. Perhaps the oldest category of projective assessment used with children and adolescents. Means this is the oldest category of projecting assessment. Means with the help of that we will able to assess the personality of an individual, and these tests are particularly used to assess the personalities of children and adolescents. A very common technique is the draw a person test. Now, this is basic or the common technique of projecting drawing. Here they have to draw a person. Another technique is the house tree person technique, and another technique which will be used by the examiner to assess is the house tree person technique. Now, projective instruments issues. subject to the examiner opinion and judgment. Means we can say that these are not the objective ways of assessing the personality of an individual, subject to the examiner's opinion. What is the opinion of the examiner and judgment, and how he is judging that particular story, or how he is judging that particular drawing, picture, or image of that particular individual. They have failed to provide research support for their reliability and validity. Means these projective instruments fail to provide research support for their reliability and validity. Means these tests have a less reliability and validity, as these are the subjective tests, as this what is the opinion of the examiner, how he is judging, is affecting the assessing of the personalities. Now, today we have learned the concept of personality assessment, why personality assessment is so much important, and the different projective instruments to assess the personalities of the test individual. What is the role of the examiner, and what is the role of a client while he was assessing the personality of a particular individual. For further reading on this topic, you can refer these references. MCQs. Now let us discuss some MCQs, as the MCQs are the best ways or means to assess the learning outcomes of the learner, how much they have learned a particular concept. The first one is, which is not a part of the self theory of personality. Now the examples are, or the options are: A. Idle self, B. Looking glass self, C. Blind self, or it's D. Real self. So these are the options, students. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer is option C, that is blind self. Now the second one, according to the self theory, what one actually is called. Options are real self, ideal self, looking glass self, or its real self. So the correct answer is option D, that is self image. Now, according to the self theory, what one perceives, what other perceives about him is. Now the options are: A. Looking glass self, ideal self, real self, or self image. So these are the options, students. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer will be option A, that is looking glass self. Now the next one is, blind self is a concept is closely related to A. Perception, B. Transactional analysis, C. Personality, or it's D. Learning. So the correct answer will be option B, that is transactional analysis. One trait that dominates a personality so much that it influences nearly everything a person does is. Now, one trait that dominates a personality, and it's dominating the personality of an individual so much that it influences nearly everything a person does, is a. Options are: A. Cardinal trait, B. Secondary trait, C. Central trait, or D. All of these. Means all of the given choices. Yes, students, what will be the correct answer? Yes, the correct answer will be option A. That is cardinal trait. So, cardinal trait is a type of a trait that is dominating a personality so much that it's influenced nearly everything a person does in his or her life. Now, who is the pioneer that proposed the 16 basic dimensions of normal personality and devised a questionnaire 16 PF to measure them? Now, the options are A. Raymond Cattell, B. Carl Jung, C. Alport, or it's D. Einstein. So, students, these are the options A, B, C, D. Now, you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer will be yes, the correct answer will be option A, that is Raymond Cattell. Now, the next one, you can move information from the hidden self to the open self by. Means how you can move information from the hidden self to the open self by. Now the options are A. Disclose, B. Feedback, C. Empowerment, or it's D. Depression. So students, these are the options. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer will be yes, the correct answer will be option A, that is disclosure. Means with the help of that we can move information from the hidden self to the open self. Now the next one, which theory states, means we are talking about which theory, and that theory states that man know his needs, means a person know what are his particular needs and what are its wants, and his behavior is directed to meet these needs, and his behavior means behavior of that particular individual or man is directed to meet these needs, and his behavior is directed to meet these needs and wants of that particular individual or man. Now the options are A. Socio-psychological theory, B. Psychoanalytical theory, C. Self theory, or it's D. Trait theory. So students, these are the options. Now you have to suggest which will be the correct answer and which theory is stating that man knows his need and wants and his behavior is directed to meet these needs. Now, what will be the correct answer? Yes, the correct answer will be option A, that is socio psychological theory. Now, according to Alport, personal traits can be divided into subcategories: A. Cardinal disposition and B. Secondary disposition. Now, whether this is true or false, now you have to give the answer whether the statements you consider as true or false. So the correct answer will be option B, that is this statement is false. Now the next one is Alfred Adler, Andrés Froman, Karen Horney, and Harry Stack Sullivan are significant contributors of the trait factor theory of personality. Now the options are A true or B false. Now you have to state whether this statement is true or whether this statement is false. Now the correct answer will be option B, means this statement is false. Thank you students. With this particular narration you have understood what do you mean by personality, what do you mean by personality assessment, and why personality assessment is so much necessary, and what are the different tools or instruments or inventories that can be used by an examiner to assess the personalities of an individual. Then we have talked about the Rorschach inkblot test and thematic appreciation test that are commonly used to assess the personalities of an individual. Thank you, students. Thank you so much for your patience listening.